This is 11.3 community relationships. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Um, yeah, let's talk about community relationships. This is relationships in the community. You don't have the right definition for that. There's lots of different kinds of relationships in the community, and one of those is going to be called symbiosis. Look at the word sim, together, bio, life. This is when things live together, like the clownfish living with the sea anemone. Just a friendly relationship there. We're going to talk about three different kinds of symbiotic relationships. The first one's called commensalism. Commensalism, and so when we talk about these relationships, we're going to use symbols, right? And so I'm going to give you two different symbols, and that's going to talk about what that relationship is. So commensalism is a plus zero relationship. What does that mean? Plus means one of the organisms is gaining a benefit from it. Zero, the other organism's neutral. It's not getting a benefit or it's not having something bad happening to it. This is a perfect example of a commensalism relationship. The cattle egret, which is the bird on the back of this thing, is going to get the benefit of getting bugs as this animal walks through the grass. It's going to stir up all the things. The cattle egret's going to eat them, and the big guy's not getting much of anything. The bugs aren't bothering it. The birds aren't bothering it. It's good to go. Commensalistic relationship. Next, mutualism's plus relationship. Both organisms are getting benefit. Here, the flowers are getting the benefit of being pollinated, and the bees are getting the benefit of the nectar that the flower makes. They help one another out. All right, they co-evolve together. You can think of it that way as well. They are made for one another, and so lots of different examples of mutualistic relationships. Here's one as well: clownfish and sea anemone. Perfect example. The clownfish gets protection, and it eats up the garbage on the sea anemone, and the sea anemone gets stuff drawn into that by the clownfish. Things think they can come in and get that clownfish, and they can't do it. And the symbiotic relationship here is parasitism. Parasitism is one organism benefits, the other one loses resources continually, and it could lead to death. So this is a plus minus relationship. Here is an example of a caterpillar. This caterpillar's got stuff all over it. What is that? It's wasp larvae, because some wasp came and laid eggs inside that caterpillar, and those little guys just kind of swam around inside the caterpillar and ate its juices, and then will eventually hatch out as soon as those little pupas all finish. And it's not good for a caterpillar. So this is a parasitic relationship. The little wasps are stealing the energy from the caterpillar, and the caterpillar is losing energy. So this will be a plus minus relationship. Another type of symbiotic relationship is competition. This is a just relationship in general, not symbiotic. And competition is a minus minus relationship in that both organisms are losing energy in order to gain something, right? You can see there, I guess those are like dogs fighting over the deer carcass, right? They're both having to give up resources in order to gain something. That's intraspecific, meaning that it's within a species. Those two dogs are the same species and they're fighting over something. Interspecific is when two different species are fighting over resources. Like here, the birds and the prairie dogs are fighting over some sort of little thing that's interspecific between two different species. So inter, probably, no kidding, probably the most missed question that will be on the test is the difference between those two things. Make sure you understand what those prefixes mean. Predation. This is a plus minus relationship in that the predator is eating the prey. Here you have a picture of that which is about to occur. They're playing a game of chase, and this game of chase will end in a meal. And I don't know what's going on with the gazelle's legs here. I just noticed that it's kind of off-putting. But here the cheetahs are learning to catch their prey, and they're using this poor gazelle as their practice. And this is it's the circle of life. It's just what it is. So yeah, predation, very important idea here. And we're going to talk a little bit more about predation, actually. Predation is a perfect example of something called the boom-bust cycle, and basically where both organisms follow these boom-bust cycles in that they boom when one population is up, say like when the rabbit population is up, the lynx population is also going to increase, right? But an increase in the lynx population is going to cause a decrease in the hare population because they're going to be eating them. Well, and a decrease in the hare population is going to cause a decrease in the lynx population because there's less food. And if there's less lynxes, then the snowshoe hares are going to increase, right? And so they're just going to constantly be going back and forth. The good thing about a boom-bust cycle for a population is which ones are going to survive each bust cycle? The strongest. What's happening to the genes over time in this population? The strongest genes are continually coming out of that, right? And so this is actually good for both of these species. Seemingly not, but this is actually better for both species as opposed to eliminating the lynx and allowing the snowshoe hares to completely destroy their ecosystem and thus completely destroying themselves. And so this creates balance for an ecosystem. Speaking of balance, let's talk about population dynamics. Population dynamics is how populations change over time, both growing and declining throughout time. And you can see some here in this picture showing some of the different factors that relate to that. There are two different kinds of factors associated with population dynamics. They're density-dependent, density-independent factors. Density-dependent factors tend to be biotic factors, like predation is a perfect example. That's not the only example. Disease, some other ones would be like that. Density-independent factors are typically abiotic factors, drought, natural disasters, nutrient density, all these different things would be considered density-independent factors that are independent of the population density, whereas density-dependent factors are dependent upon the density of the population in order to change. Kind of like the boom-bust thing, right? More hares are being eaten. There are four things that directly affect the rate of growth for a population. Birth and death. Birth is plus, death is minus. And then immigration and emigration. Immigration is when organisms move into a population, obviously pluses, and the emigration is when organisms leave a population. And these four things are directly related to the growth rate of a population. Speaking of growth rate, populations grow in one of two ways. Exponential, where the population essentially doubles every time. If a population is growing this way, what is unlimited? Resources are unlimited, right? Space is unlimited. The number of mates is unlimited. Everything is unlimited. There's nothing limiting this population if it's growing exponentially. A more realistic kind of growth is called logistic growth, where a population is going to grow for time and is going to level off as those limitations become more real, as these factors act on that population, right? And they're going to grow into a carrying capacity. What is a carrying capacity? Well, carrying capacity is the amount of organisms that the ecosystem can support based on these limitations. If you remove the limitations, then that population is going to grow exponentially. But as long as those limitations are there, that population is going to meet this more logistic kind of curve to it. And you can see here, the blue line represents kind of the ideal versus the purple line, which is the actual. It's not like a population just stays at carrying capacity. It's going to go over, and that's going to cause it to go under, and then it's going to go over, and then that's going to cause it to go under, right? We just saw this with the boom-bust cycle. And so carrying capacity is just kind of what the organism or the ecosystem can generally support, and the population's actually going to kind of fluctuate around that carrying capacity.